Yeah, no, look, I mean, it's not an easy battle. One kind of it's almost like, the Golden State Warriors right now. Like they're trying to fight age, they're trying to fight metabolism, they're trying to fight inevitable decline that is coming their way.
Careful.
Oh, sorry. I'm not speaking to the 5% here. Shout out to Duck Sauce. But what our coworkers are doing are trying to implement the right and necessary methods for their body, for their situation, and it's worked for everyone, much like we hope that those methods for the Golden State Warriors can produce a championship this year.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Who else had some things to say was Mike Dunleavy Jr. He's the general manager of the Golden State Warriors. We played the sound of him talking about the contract extensions of Steve Kerr and Klay Thompson. He hopes that gets done before the start of the season. This is an interesting question. I'm not surprised, but I'm glad Monty Poole asked him this. He's talking about Greg Popovich and Monty Williams and what that means for Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, this is the landscape we're in. Players, coaches, everybody's taking advantage of the money that's out there, and I think it's great to see in the league as a whole. Like, it means the league's doing really well, and people are watching and enjoying the game. So, I think all in all, it's great. And from a coaching standpoint, I'm sure the coaches are happy. From a player standpoint, I'm sure they're thrilled about the deal the guy in Boston just signed. So. That's the way this league works. When teams and players do well, everybody benefits.
Mike, you didn't answer the question. Are you going to be able to pay Steve Kerr what Monty Williams makes? That's really what it's about.
Well, do you think he's even the person that can answer that question?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he's probably talked to. I mean, I'm not sold that it's his decision. I think it's Lacob's decision, but. I would hope Joe Lacob didn't say to Mike Dunleavy, hey, you got to negotiate a contract extension with Steve, but we're not paying him Monty Williams money. Like, yeah, I got to. Okay, then I'm out. Like, what are we doing? So, I mean, the reality situation is Steve Kerr must get paid more than Monty Williams. He has to. Like, he has to.
I believe so. And to the question from Max Carlos on YouTube, it doesn't count against the cap ? That's true. So who cares? Well, Joe Lacob cares because he's the one that's going to have to foot the bill. In addition to this season,
right? I
don't know about next season, but this season, another massively large luxury tax. And if you're trying to cut some costs, well, a head coach might be a place to do it. I mean, I would imagine they're probably saving a little bit of money on what they would have had to pay Bob Myers to what they're now paying Mike Dunleavy Jr. Yeah. It's not a massive amount of money, but each and every dollar counts when you're spending $400 million on your basketball team.
Exactly.
Or at least it matters to the other owners outside of just Joe Lacob.
And you know who else it matters to? The Golden State Warriors minority owners. The owners that aren't Joe Lacob. They're a part of this story that I think eventually will become more and more important. And that is, Joe Lacob's got to broker deals. Like I get they're minority owners, but if the minority owners start looking at payroll, then that's how Joe Lacob begins to feel a little pressure about the payroll. And then that's when he's got to appease and mollify, maybe on both sides. And it's obvious that he has convinced whoever he has to convince that they're still in this thing and they intend to make a run at it, at least for the next couple years. Dunleavy talked about Chris Paul III, and somebody on the text line was asking me and about, I said, you know what? Warriors might be better than last year, or they might not. I mean, there's a bold statement. But what he was saying is, how could you possibly say they're going to be better when all they really did was add Chris Paul, sixth man for this team? But this is what I'm trying to figure out.
We believe he'll be the sixth man.
Correct. This is what I'm trying to figure out. Take a listen to Dunleavy and how he talked about Chris Paul III.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, to be fair, been an issue for a few years, and it's just sort of the way we play. And you got to live with it because what it leads to in terms of shots and chaos and all that. So there's that balance. But knowing Chris and believing that I think he can do both, he can thrive within the chaos and help our guys, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggs, and at the same time also have some just stability where we're taking care of the ball, creating more possessions, not giving up possessions. It just seems like on paper and in person makes a lot of sense.
I agree. There's a lot to like there. And to me, here's what I think. From a basketball standpoint, we were talking about why this is exciting. For me, the reason that this season is going to be must-watch is because, you know what? They didn't do a lot. But what did they do? They traded Jordan Poole and they brought in Chris Paul III. Two significantly different players. One guy's a scorer. One guy's a passer. One guy turns the ball over a lot. One guy doesn't turn the ball over at all. One guy can shoot. One guy shoots a lot of threes. The other guy is more of a mid-range shooter. One guy's young and erratic. One guy's a veteran and established in this league. The fact that the Warriors haven't changed much of their personnel, but for this, and I get it, they still have they got Corey Joseph, and they're Wiggins is coming back, so that dynamic will be a little bit different. But to me, this is what basketball is all about. They got rid of a 20-point scorer, and now they've got a distributor, a guy who takes care of the ball. How does that change who the Warriors are, if at all? Does it make them better? Does it make them worse? Will we find out, you know what? We can't score enough. We can't score enough without Jordan Poole. Or will they say, oh my goodness, we don't turn the ball over anymore the last 5 minutes of a game. We're getting good shots. Not all of them are going. So that's the reason why I cannot wait to watch Warrior games this year, to see how you substitute a way different kind of player for another kind of player. You give up some things, you gain some things, and what does it do for the entirety of making the team better or maybe not making them better? I can't wait for that part.
No, it's going to be fascinating, but it's also interesting to me because the messaging about the play style or the pace is, I don't know about you, Steiny, but it sounds a little conflicting to me because we've heard some of the players discuss how Chris Paul is going to come in and slow down the game, and he's going to take care of the basketball, and he's going to run either the second unit or make sure that people from the starting unit are going to be in their spots. And Steph can play off the ball, and so can Clay, and it's going to be kumbaya on the offensive side. But also, the Warriors have been a team that likes to get up and down. They tried to do it, I think, against Los Angeles. They couldn't do it as much against a younger, more athletic Sacramento team or faster Sacramento team. But we've also heard kind of like, I think Klay Thompson was the one that hinted at how Chris Paul can help run the fast break or can help do some of those things that we associate with Warriors basketball. And so I don't really know whether the vision is for Chris Paul to come in and slow the game down, pound the rock, pick and roll, the way that he likes to play, or are they going to ask him to kind of change the way he has played his whole career and get more up and down, but, of course, also take care of the basketball because that's what he does. I don't really know how it's going to work, but that's another reason why I'm so interested in this season is because as much as Chris Paul is kind of sixth on the totem pole right now behind, of course, the Splash Brothers, Wiggins, Looney, and Draymond, I also think that the way he likes to play the game is so much different than the way Warriors basketball looks that I'm not sure if everyone's going to be on the same page from the get-go. And so I think we're going to hear very early in training camp whether or not the offense is going to be how Chris Paul wants it and likes to play, or whether he's just going to be the guy that kind of has to fit in.